Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. We're pretty much a quarter of the way through the semester, and we're moving on to our second chapter. Hopefully you did well in the test yesterday. I'll be going through the tests and I'll look over your answers. I might give back some partial credit to here and there, just depending upon sometimes some rounding issues can come into play and things like that. And I don't want you to get a full question taken off or counted wrong just because of a small issue like that. So I'll quickly look over those, and then I'll get those into the grade book. You should have maybe already seen that I've put the homework grade in there. So basically, I just copy over whatever my math lab grade is, which the only thing that counts for is my math lab grade in my lab math is the homework itself. So the tests aren't factored into that, but I copy over the tests separately into the middle grade book. Okay. So I'll do that pretty soon, probably later this week. I'll get them in. Okay. So I just want to point out where you should be, where you should, start working. We're going to keep going. We don't stop. We got to keep going because this, being 8 weeks, we have to keep moving forward. Okay. So we're going to be moving on to chapter 6 while also doing the chapter 5 project. So pulling up the pacing guide and calendar, everything. You should be starting, section 6.1 today, right? Yep. And working on the video notes and the homework. There's no kind of weird overlap like there was here, or some weird kind of staggering that was going on with chapter 5. Here it's pretty straightforward, 1-to-1, all the way down. Okay. And so you'll be working on the video notes and the homework, the study plan, and also the chapter 5 project will be your side thing. So no discussion, for this chapter, just the project itself. Okay. The chapter 5 project, I like to do it after we finish the chapter 5. That way you can kind of go back and use it as review. It's based around right triangle trig anyway. So I do have it posted too, and we'll go over it here in a second. But then we have our chapter 6 test on the 30th, and the 1st of July for you to work on. And then our midterm, remember taking that on campus, on Davidson campus, the 2nd and the 3rd. So those of you that did mention that, I will be allowing a small small amendment to that. So if you need to take the midterm early, meaning if you're not going to be able to take the midterm on the 2nd and 3rd because you're going to be out of the town, you're not going to be able to get there. The only other option you have for taking the midterm will be taking the midterm on the 29th. But the only way I'll allow you to take the midterm is if you've completed all the homeworks enough to complete the mastery level for the study plan, and you've finished your attempts for chapter 6 test. If you've done all that, in other words, you completed enough homework to get the study plan done, you've done enough of the study plan, or you've done enough of the study plan, if you allow yourself to take the test, and you've taken both attempts on chapter 6 tests and completed then I'll let you take the midterm. Okay. I have a couple of people already that said they would. If anybody else needs to take it on Friday, please send me an email. Note, on Friday, it's only open 8 to 12. So you got to get there in there by 9 to have enough time to finish the exam. So you're going to have a very limited window on that Friday. But go ahead and send me an email, and I'll send out an email later this week talking about, what you need to do to make sure you get ahead. So you got to work ahead. You got to work a little bit faster than what the pacing guide is going on here. Allow yourself enough time to get everything done. So I'll send me an email if you're thinking about you need to take it on that Friday, the 29th, instead of being able to take it the week of the 4th. And then I'll send out an email later this week to those people once I get their names. Okay. Don't just show up on Friday without sending me an email. Okay. You got to send me an email. I had to send something back saying you're okay to take it. Once I've checked your homework and all that. Okay. But, I'll talk more about that when we get closer to, later this week and get closer to the testing time. Okay. Moving back, chapter 6 continues with the trig. It moves into identities and proofs, so it is a little bit different section. It's not as much problem as it is working on learning the different proofs and the ideas behind those proofs. Okay, and so same amount of sections, but I think these videos are long. If I remember right, these videos are not as short or not as long, shorter notes. And it's more about just practicing and performing the limits, or performing the proofs and the identities. Okay. So we'll jump back over here. You still have your lesson plan if you'd like to use it. Some of you did on chapter 5. Some of you didn't use it. It's dependent upon you if you want to go in here. Mine looks different. Remember, mine looks going to look different than yours. But you can go in, keep track of where everything you need to work on. Go back. There we go. Homework. You have up to 29th as you saw on here. Pull back down. 29th up here. The study plan, test, all the same. So exact same structure as the previous chapter. Except you don't have a discussion, you do have the project. So I put the project here. So let me pull it up. And we'll open it. And so this will be due on the 29th at the end of the day to get in. Okay. So here it is. You will find certain dimensions of a handicap ramp on campus and compare them to the standard of North Carolina. So the only amendment I make to this is what I do with my seated sections. I am a hybrid sections, but with being it online, this ramp does not have to be on campus. Okay. There are multiple ones here on campus, handicap ramps. But if you can't get to campus to be able to do this, then that's fine if you want to use something around where you live or work. Some great places to look are other schools and churches. Those are always some of the biggest ones. Just buildings that have been around a while have handicap ramps. If a building's been built in the last, I'd say 5 to 10 years, it probably won't have one just because they build buildings now to where you don't have to have handicap ramps. Okay. So look for older buildings. Okay. So you will find certain dimensions of a handicap ramp and compare them to the standard of North Carolina. Okay. So the method for doing this, you will get the following, of a handicap ramp on campus or wherever you're looking at, a detailed description, measurements, the location, a picture, and also you'll draw a sketch. You will research and find the requirements North Carolina implements on handicap ramps. And then you will compare your data from your ramp to the requirements of North Carolina and state whether or not your ramp meets or does not meet North Carolina standards. The 3 required measurements you will have to measure and compare are angle of elevation, width of the ramp, and height of the handrail. Now, the thing about it is you're not going to be able to measure angle of elevation. And so that's where the tricks will come into play. You're going to have to measure other parts of the handicap ramp, either the run or the height or the length of the ramp, and then use trig to come up with what you think the angle of elevation is. Okay. And the other part of this is you're actually going to be writing this into a report, meaning it's got a little bit of a technical writing part to this. And this is why I give extra time for this. You will compile all of your data and information that you required above into a report. The header needs to include the title and the group members' names. This is not a group project. This is a single person. This is just you. Okay. I usually do groups and require them to do this in a couple of days. I'm doing this with y'all individually, and I'm giving you a little over a couple of weeks. Okay. The report must include the following sections: an introduction stating the purpose, which is basically finding the dimensions of a handicap ramp and comparing North Carolina standards. Okay. Research included what information you found on North Carolina standards and any interpretations. There's a bunch of websites out there. I promise you're going to be able to find something. A ramp section, which includes all measurements, the picture, the sketch, a description of the ramp. So a picture is an actual picture. A sketch is where you're actually going to draw out and make like a little quick sketch. You can either do that by hand and scan it, or you can do it in like Paint or something like that and post it into your report. Okay. Angle of elevation section. You will this section should not only show but fully explain how you came up with the angle of elevation. So it'll show, it'll describe this. These are the links to the certain links of the ramp. I use these to come up with the angle of elevation by using this trig function. I solved for the angle, and this is the angle I found. And I would like to see the math work of this. So I would recommend writing this in Word. So if you are using Word, just use the Microsoft equation editor or the equation editor in general, whatever it is, in Google, in Word, or Google Docs also has an equation editor. But please use that to kind of write out show your work. Okay. A compare and data section should explain any differences and similarities you see between your ramp and North Carolina standards. This is stating that it's below or behind or above whatever measurements you have or whatever the requirements are. And then the conclusion states whether those differences are okay, meaning that the angle of elevation is lower than the standards, which is fine, or the angle of elevation is above the standards, which is not fine. Make your conclusion about that ramp. Then beyond that, do your works cited. I don't care about format here, MLA, whatever you want to use. Just go with that, and just kind of say, keep that consistent throughout the paper. So if you use whatever you use for your works cited, use for the rest of the paper. Okay. This paper normally goes between 3 pages to 10. I've had groups make a 15-page report on this. But I've also had groups make a 3-page report, and link's not going to dictate your grade. So it's just dependent upon how you structure things, how you put things in the paper, and how you type everything up and all that. So I'm not putting a length on this or anything like that. So what I would recommend though is once you get done, you'll go in and you'll do your submission here. The due date's wrong on there. Oops, I'm sorry about that. That should be the 29th, not the 19th. So I'll go and change that after I make this video. I don't know why it says the 19th on there. Oh, I guess I must have missed it and misclicked it on there. But it is due to the 29th, so you've got plenty of time to work on it. So what you'll do is type this up in Word or Google Docs, download it or save it as a PDF, and then submit it here onto Moodle, okay? And then that's it. Okay, so some of y'all might get done early with this. Some of y'all might wait until later on to do it. But I did section off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days. It's almost 2 weeks here for you to work on this. Okay. If you need help, like if you need a meter stick or if you need something to measure with, just send me an email. And I can leave some outside of my office, so you just come by my office and grab them and borrow them, and then that way you can have something to actually measure something. That, especially if you're coming on campus, if you want something to measure with, just let me know. Okay. But so that'll be due on the 29th, same time that the homework is due when you need to finish up your study plan so you can take your test. Okay. So that's going to be this next couple weeks. So we've gotten through the first 2 weeks, and this pretty much will take up this week and next week. And then we're halfway done with the course, and we're moving along. So all we got left will be the midterm, and then the next 2 chapters, and we're pretty much done. Okay. So get started working on chapter 6, watching the videos, taking notes, doing the homework. Work ahead if you need to take that midterm early, but if not, stay on track with the Pacing's Guide. It's a pretty straightforward guide. This chapter, 2 days per section, pretty much, except for one section. But stay on track, keep working hard, and if you have any questions, please send them my way. And if not, I guess I'll talk with you soon.